This season on The Gospel.
You're talking all this stuff around these young guys. They disrespecting me because you disrespecting me.
I wasn't disrespectful. I was just trying to be real. That's it.
The only people that enjoyed that experience was you.
One thing I love about us, especially because we're a family business, is that we never forget the bigger picture.
You are individuals.
Yeah.
God made you individual. It's important that you understand that it's okay to be an individual. I'm not sure if now is the time, but I do know that there will come a time.
Lifted me. Oh, love lifted me when nothing else could help. Oh,
Stream The Gospel.
Hello, beautiful people. Real Talk Kim here, and I am so excited to be with you again. Today, I have brought an incredible friend of mine. I love this woman. You know, I just kind of like people that are authentic. And Sophia Ruffin's one of those, and she's authentically herself. She's gone through some things in the church world. She's been the first generation preacher, which is really awesome. Like, I had my dad handing the ministry down to me. She's starting this thing from the ground up, and she's got a story that I think is gonna provoke you, a story that's gonna let you know that nothing is too hard for God. All it takes is obedience. You know, 1 ounce of obedience will do more for you than all the prayer in the world. And so today, I believe she's gonna encourage you, and she's gonna encourage some of you parents out there that have got children that have gone wayward, children that you're like, oh my God, you know, how do I support them in something that I don't believe in that they're doing? And she's gonna really give you encouragement to let you know, love them where they are. You know, stop trying to nag them, stop trying to push the Bible down their throat. Just love them, be Jesus with clothes on. And so today, that's what she's gonna really encourage us with. So I think it's gonna really bless you. She's fun, she's beautiful. She don't look like what she's been through. I'm telling y'all something. Y'all gonna see her before picture. I'm gonna make her show it. And then you're gonna see her after picture, and you're gonna be like, holy. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Real Talk Kim. I am so excited that you're in here with me today. I've got an incredible show with one of my favorite people on the planet, Prophetess Sophia Ruffin. Man, I just love you, girl. I'm just so thankful.
Love you too.
I'm thankful. You know what I love about us? I'm into this taking people with me situation because we are a culture where we're like, we don't want to share nothing.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Especially women. I don't even know why it's like this. If I'm going somewhere, I won't tell you where I bought that dress. I won't tell you where I did, you know what I'm saying? And what I love about your relationship with me and just watching you as God's using you all over the world is that we take each other with us to the top. You know what I'm saying? You take people in your life, I take people in my life, and we're showing that there's room for all of us.
Yes.
And I'm just so proud of you. Man, we were in California. It's the first time I ever met you. It was like, what, a year and a half ago? And God is like exploding our world. Y'all listen to me. This show is for anybody out there. You didn't have very good parents, or your parents weren't preachers. They didn't give you a church. Maybe you started out rough as a child. Maybe you went a wayward path. You're looking at two people right here that are showing you that when you are obedient, because 1 ounce of obedience will do more for you than all the prayer. When you finally get sick and tired of being sick and tired, you take your life back. And I remember I met you in California. I was preaching, and man, it just did something to me that you came to the conference and you supported me. We shared wings that night together.
It was like 6 wings.
Yes, 6 wings, and we sat in the Hampton Inn. And look at what God's done in just a year and a half in both of our lives. Like, I'm just so moved by that. So I want my people out there, your people, all the comeback kids, because you've started a whole movement. Like you hadn't just, God ain't just elevating you. You're starting a movement and you're believing in the nobodies. You're believing in the people that everybody wrote off. I think you're probably believing in the Sophias.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
You like over here believing in the Sophias, because I think that's what I do too. I am in people's lives where I wish people would have been in my life. And that's what you're doing. You're believing in the nobodies and you're giving people hope. So just tell us a little bit about you. Like, let them know you. Like, let them know how awesome. You got awesome sauce like dripping off you.
Oh man, no, I'm just, I love it, and I do appreciate you for allowing me to be on the show with you. I'm excited, you know, and I take that serious when you said believing in the nobodies, like believing in the Sophias, the comebacks.
Yeah.
And so what Comeback Kid is, and some people say, well, don't you think you're gonna outgrow Comeback Kid? It's like, no, I don't, because that's just my story, my anthem, that God delivered me from so many things, and he has given me the grace to come back, to rise up. And so a lot of people, they have challenges, they have experiences, adversity, barriers, and they throw in the towel. And so my life has been pick that towel up, wipe your sweat off, and keep
get
it
up.
moving.
It's like that meme that I see floating around on social media, and it says, I threw in the towel and God threw it back, said wipe your face and get up.
Hello.
What? Yeah, we take our preaching hankies with us, because every time we want to give. You know what else I love that you said? That people said, don't you think you'll outgrow the comeback kid? And you're like, heck no. Man, when God brings you through something, when you've been at a place and God gives you this platform, there's a passion that comes with it that seminary couldn't give you.
Yes.
And that's why you'll never outgrow it, because you're watching these people transform. I'm watching these people transform through you and following you. Man, they show up in droves. Like they follow you everywhere. It's almost like, don't you get sick of me? And they just follow you, but it's because they know you really love them. You
That's
can't
right.
fake that.
Yeah.
And so I saw this picture floating around, and you look like a boy. Like when I see that picture of you, I'm thinking, oh, I bet she was picked on her whole life. So I said, I want to talk about you getting picked on. You're like, girl, I didn't get picked on. I was picking on people. You're like the bully.
I was the bully. Even though I was a bully, I was only bullying people because there were some things that was missing in my life.
Yeah.
And there were some insecurities that I had. There were some things that I was going through, especially growing up in a condition where my father, you know, was in and out of prison. I dealt with some molestation, you know, in my life, and just so many things that I was dealing with as a child and didn't know how to communicate it. And so I communicated that by bullying other people.
You know what I loved? You spoke at my conference and you talked about you said boy drawers. Do you remember you talked about
Boy
that? Do you remember that? Like you said you didn't know the difference.
Yeah.
Tell that.
You know, during that time of going through some of the abuse I went through, a lot of people, even when you say I look like a boy and went through that phase, a lot of people don't sit down and have a conversation and ask a person, how did you get that deep into what you were into? And so I didn't just wake up one day and say, hey, I want to be a man. You know, that was some things that I had experienced. And so that's why I think these conversations and platforms is important, because sometimes we judge a book by its cover.
Yes.
And I was really, at that time, I found myself putting on my brother's underwear.
Man.
To protect myself, because I didn't have the protection that I needed. And so the way I was able to protect myself was, let me put on these garments and maybe I won't be attractive, or, you know, maybe this would be my defense mechanism. And so over the years, the enemy took advantage of that.
Yeah.
And so one of the things is, when you're born anointed, you don't realize the warfare that you're gonna deal with as a child. And that's why I'm so passionate about ministry now, is because the enemy don't play fair. And so while I was a child, I didn't know, I was innocent, I was vulnerable. He took advantage of that. And so during that time, as I was wearing these boy underwear and things like that, adults would say to their kids or to their little girls, stay away from her. She's a lesbian, or she's a butch. And so I was getting bullied by adults. Instead, I was a little girl that was dressing in these masculine clothes, crying for help. Like, can somebody just help me? Can somebody just have a conversation with me? And so instead, it was like I felt like I became this disease or this, you know, and so I went through some depression. I went through
Misfit.
Yeah, I was a misfit. And so that's what led to the drastic masculinity shift.
Man, girl. Like, where was that shift, though? Like, what age?
So about 11 to 12, I remember starting to, become a tomboy, and that's what I was labeling it, like I'm a tomboy, or, I was trying to find definition. I didn't know what was going on. I started hearing words. I had a cousin who always say, "You're a little man. That's a little man," and so.
And words have power.
Yeah,
you know that?
And I was swallowing those words because if you're not being fed words of affirmation,
yes,
you're not being affirmed, especially as a young lady, you'll believe those words that are spoken. And so he started speaking those words, and so I would look in the mirror and I would compare myself to the other girls in my family, and I'm like, I don't look like them, I don't act like them, it's something different. And so all of that started taking a toll on me, and that's when I first started hearing about she's gay. Or I didn't know anything. I didn't grow up in a household where I knew anything about homosexuality and gay and all this stuff. And so I started hearing these terms, and I was inquisitive. I wanted to know, well, am I gay? I'll look in the mirror and say, am I gay? Am I born gay? Did God make a mistake? And the trauma of what I endured and not having anyone to share that with, this pain, I just allowed all of that to take toll. And I got into basketball. And so when you get into basketball, it's a stigma that's attached to the lifestyle.
Yeah.
And so immediately, me playing basketball, that was my hobby. So I'm playing, I love it, I was good at it.
And you were celebrated.
Yeah, and I was celebrated, but then attached to it, I was identified as that's the gay girl. And so I just took on that role, and I started learning about what is this, trying to find identity and vocabulary for what people were speaking over my life. And that's when I started, really entertaining the homosexual lifestyle, start pursuing it and finding people who can bring me the language for what I thought I was.
Man, girl, that is so deep. Just how we are. I always say this, the loudest voices in your world is what you become. And I think that's why you're so loud and proud now, the comeback kid. And I watch so many kids you're putting up on social media every day, and nobody talks about it. It's almost just like it's a faux pas. Like, we don't talk about it, we just erase it. We judge people. You have a homosexual person walk in church, we look at them up and down. They don't feel celebrated, they don't feel loved. And man, what a picture that you have painted of, you didn't ask for that. But the loudest voices in your ear made you the way you were. How was your family? Like, did you alienate people?
Really, when I started getting a little bit older in high school, I started trying to defend myself. And I was like, no, I'm not gay. I'm just a tomboy. I just play basketball. And tried to, have a little boyfriend thing. And I was like, trying to really find out what is happening with me.
So much confusion.
Yeah, and so that's why I say even spiritually, there are mentors who can lead us in the right direction.
Yes.
But the enemy have demonic mentors as well that can lead you down the path of darkness. And I had people who came into my life that really introduced me to the lifestyle of homosexuality that was beyond just the perversion of it. Like, I learned the language, the culture. I was trained in that lifestyle by people that were older than me. And they began to show me the way, and so I embraced that because I was accepted, I was celebrated, I was affirmed, I was loved, I was respected. So I was getting something. I had a network, a community of people. It was
filling that void.
It filled that void, and so it wasn't just people get it twisted. It wasn't just the sexuality piece. It was the acceptance and the affirmation.
Yeah.
And so, as I pursued through college, I always had such a respect for my mom. I love my mom. She was one who was in church, so she didn't agree with it, and she was disappointed.
She didn't send you to hell.
But my mother loved me through my journey.
Yeah.
And one of the things that her story is, she said when she prayed the first time, she just believed God for who I would become. She knew that the fruit of her womb was blessed. So regardless of what part of my journey I was in, she saw the end result.
Come on.
She saw this when I didn't. And so when
What
people was
mama.
like, your daughter is gay. Your daughter, she didn't look. And that's why I always tell people, don't judge a book by its cover. That's why I love underdogs. That's why I love
That's a
caterpillars.
true man.
You see what I'm
Yes,
saying?
caterpillars.
I love caterpillars because you don't know the metamorphosis. You don't know the transition stage when they're hidden, and sometimes they look ugly and broken and wounded. But you have no idea. And
what
so
they're gonna become.
My family, my mother and my sister, my godmother and I had a friend, they loved me through my journey.
Man, I love that. And didn't make you feel like you were on a clearance rack.
Hello.
Man, I love that.
Yes.
So at what point, is your dad still in your life? Is he still in your life now?
My dad is, one thing, I love about
Are they so proud of you?
My dad is, that's my daughter. Even through his life and his journey of what he went through, I believe all of that was the making of some of the things that I had to experience and go through. But my dad, we're like best friends.
Oh.
So yeah, it's amazing.
So Sophia, when was it in your journey that you finally was like, I'm gonna come out of this thing? Like, when did God just touch you? Because I remember a part of your story where you said you started to come out and people still were labeling you.
Yeah.
The church world.
Yes. And I actually stumbled on this God thing. Like, I had no intention, because how I was treated. I think I would have been saved a long time ago if someone would have ministered Jesus to me, just the simplicity of the gospel. I didn't get that message. I was already condemned. You're going to hell.
Man.
Based off my lifestyle. So to me, I felt like at that time, you're trying to tell me about a God you serve. I don't know this God.
And if he's anything like you, I don't want him.
Hello.
I don't want to go to heaven with you.
I don't want to go. So I was like, okay, if I'm going to go to hell, why am I going to hell? And my mind, I had deception. So I felt like I was born gay because of the years of the trauma that led to the lifestyle I was in. That was my experience. So I felt like I was born gay, but God's going to punish me by sending me to hell. I don't want to serve that God. I didn't understand.
I get that, man. You're like, you created me and now you hate me?
And now you hate me. And so I was just like, I don't want no part. So then I did try to go to church. And when I would go to church, I would become the sermon topic, because you got me coming in, I look like a man, and I became the sermon topic and embarrassed. I would leave out, and I remember saying, I'm never going to church again. There's so many people that's listening right now that feel like that. People got this stigma, if you in the lifestyle, you don't love God, or you don't want to change. But it's just that people are not having conversations and, teaching people.
You know how many people are relating to you right now saying, yes, somebody gets me.
Yeah.
Somebody understands where I'm at. See, it's not, I didn't walk through it. So I can't say, I get it, I understand, but somebody listening to you today has got hope. They're putting that medicine bottle down. They're deciding, she gets me. I'm gonna be a comeback kid. That's why they support you. That's why they follow you, because for once, somebody understands them. And so, but what point did you start developing into this butterfly? Because Sophia, girl, listen to me. You didn't just transform. When I preach a sermon about that caterpillar, how ugly, and it just eases along, and it's lonely, it's dark, and nobody understands you, have no friends around, nobody wants to hang around with you. And then something happens when you get to that place, and this is where you get to that place where you say, I can't fly yet, but I refuse to crawl. I'm gonna push, and that's what you did. And you've watched, this has happened fast for you. God is trusting you. He is putting his seal of approval on you, because you feel it. You didn't even have to go to seminary to get the anointing, because you experienced the groan, and you experienced the darkness, you experienced the loneliness, you experienced the confusion. And now when God flipped that light on, you became that butterfly. And girl, you ain't just a butterfly. Like I told you a while ago, the reason I want your color skin is because your highlight just hits different. You know what I'm saying? Like you just, man, when God transformed you, you are beautiful. You are, everything that comes out of your mouth is sweet. The people you hang around sweet. Your office is sweet. And all your little comeback kids wear your clothes. They don't just come support you. And that right there speaks volumes. Your fruit.
Wow.
Your fruit is producing Man, and I'm just super proud of you. You did say you started evolving. You started getting an awakening. You fell upon this God by accident. And you started to change. And still, you didn't feel validated in the church world.
Yeah.
They kept telling you something you weren't no more.
I did, and when I did come into contact with God, he called me, like, you know, it was just like an awakening. I went to church, and this particular church I went to, this pastor, he started preaching about the blood of Jesus. And in the service, he preached on the blood and that God can wash away your sins and all your sins could be forgiven. And then he said, whatever condition you feel you're born in, you could be born again with the acceptance of Jesus Christ. Something hit me. Like, something hit me. I was like, oh my God. Like, wait a minute. So I could be born again? And this is me, you know, years ago. And I remember he did an altar call, and this song was on, Come Lay Your Burdens Down for the guilt you carried in this sanctuary.
Man, that was one of them good old
God
hymns.
is here. Like, if I knew how to sing, I would sing it. And literally, he said, stand up, but I couldn't move. So I just sat there, and I'm like, I stopped breathing, and I'm like, oh God, I can't breathe. And all of a sudden, it was like God began to lead me to the altar. And I remember saying to God, whatever you do, don't get me down here and embarrass me. Like, I'm vulnerable right now. I'm really coming to you with everything in me. I hear all these people speaking in tongues, and like everybody's excited, like, oh my gosh, she's coming to the altar. And I kept saying, God, just make it about me and you, please. When I get to the altar, the pastor moves the microphone, and he started prophesying in my life. He ministered salvation to me. I accept Christ. And immediately I, was just like overwhelmed with just joy. But as we said, it was a process.
Yep, I love it.
It was a journey. Even in that, like, I was like, okay, am I losing my mind because I'll start falling in love with this God that apprehended me. Literally, I tell people, it was supernatural. Like, I was like, if God, I know you real. If you touch my heart as hard as it was, like, yo, you're real. No gimmicks, no games. Like, you're real. And so I became inquisitive about who is this God that is interested in me. Yeah. And I began to really pursue God the way I knew how. And it's like God just blew on my life. Come on. And even doing that, like, I had to go through 5 years of a process. I still looked like a man. But externally, you couldn't tell. If you walked up on me and you didn't have discernment, you would say, she's off, you need Jesus. I didn't need Jesus. God was already in my life, but I was going through the transformation process.
The metamorphosis.
And he said, Sophia, I'm going to do something. I said, God, I don't want to just put on makeup and a skirt. Like, I don't just want to fake it. I want to know that you're transforming me. He said, no, I'm going to transition you from the inside because I'm cleaning up your heart. So when it manifests outwardly, it will be the Lord's doing. And
Come on. And nobody can get the glory but Jesus.
Nobody got the
That's
glory.
what happened in your life.
Yep.
You had I always say this, if you have an experience with God, you literally have that encounter, not a man-made thing, and that's what he did in your life. And now I look at you and you're this gorgeous woman of God. You are loving people back to life all over the world. You're a freaking book writer, beast. Like, how many books have you written?
6.
Man, and how long have you been full-time ministry?
3 years.
Y'all, what?
3 years.
You can't tell me. And God did not bring us into your living rooms to have me and her sitting on here.
Yes.
Misfits. Like, we've done way more than you've ever done in your life. What? I was nay-naying on bars, ran men off with my mouth. She over here, look at the transformation. Beautiful, you never know it. God is in the business of redemption.
Yes.
God is in the business of saying, I'm going to take you from the pit and I'm going to put you in the palace because I can trust you. Because when you have an experience like you had, ain't no man can get the credit, and you, an atheist, can come in your presence and you're going to have them brainwashed. There's only God can do this. So, man, I'm so proud of you. You're teaching people how to write books now. You're mentoring people. You got the whole Comeback Kid Club walking. How can people find you?
They can go to my website, sophiaruffin.com, or follow me on social media, Sophia Ruffin.
I love it. And your teeth are pretty. She also tells about a story where when she first got on social media, people were making fun of her gap.
Absolutely.
And instead of quitting, what'd you do? You were like, God gonna give me the money.
God gonna give me the money through my dedication with social media, and I'm gonna go pay that $5K and get it fixed.
Now she got them pretty teeth. Oh, Kurt, and they're yours.
Absolutely.
I love it. So you are proof. Don't give up, get up. Don't give up, get up, because God's never finished. You know what, Sophia Ruffin? Thank you. I respect, I honor you. I'm proud of you. I believe in you. And I love the God in you. And I love how you love people for real. So listen, y'all follow Sophia Ruffin. She will help you. If you want to write a book, get around people. I believe in that. Y'all, there is no reason in the world with this social media platform that you should stay stuck, that you should be walking around with, I got a book in me, but I don't know how to write it. You need to start unfollowing some people in real life that ain't helping you get nowhere and start following some people that encourage you, that push you to breakthroughs and not breakdowns, and they are where you want to be. If God can do it in her life in 3 years, then he can do it in yours in 1.5 years. So you know what you do? You got to get close and hijack some of her anointing. What? Listen, I love you so much. I'm so thankful that you joined us today. I believe that this blessed a lot of people, man. I really do, Sophie. I love your transparency. Thank you for not being scared to tell your story, because you're ripping people out of hell. You're giving people hope, and I love you. Listen, I'm Real Talk Kim. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being a part of our life. We believe in you. We can't wait to hear your testimonies of how when you wanted to give up, you got back up again. I'm Real Talk Kim. Talk to you next time. Peace out.